Hey there everyone, Mazrock here, and welcome to the 9.2 Protection Warrior Guide. Now, I know when we started the tier, I said this is going to be a spec that I probably was not going to play that much, but anybody that knows me long enough knows I can't really stay away from Warrior at all, especially once they announce the new buffs. So Demo Shout now is a 25% baseline damage reduction, used to be 20. The cooldown of Spell Reflect went from 26 to 20 seconds. I just finished a Theater of Pain, which I was able to spell reflect every single Reaping Scythe. Just gorgeous, love it. Great idea to reduce the cooldown of it. And then up next, we are going to look at the Vanguard passive, which used to be a 10% damage reduction. All around is now up to 15, as well as the buffs to Ignore Pain. So Ignore Pain now costs 35 rage, and it got buffed by 5% of the damage taken, so up to 55%, up to a total of 9,655 for me here. So nice buffs all around, pretty good, can't complain, awesome. So I've been wanting to go in, and of course I did some keys last week, I did some keys this week, and especially with Necrotic this week to see how I enjoy it. And man, I still love Prot Warrior. The amount of damage it can dish out is absolutely phenomenal. You are going to want to be focusing pretty heavily on haste and more versatility, and then as well as mastery and crit. Kind of being your secondary, tertiary, as your secondary stats there. I would probably prioritize mastery over critical strike, but haste being primo #1 stat, versatility, and then mastery and crit are kind of where you're going to want to see there. As for legendaries, if you're going to make one legendary and only one legendary, you're going to make Reprisal. It is both good in raid and absolutely necessary in Mythic Plus. If you've watched any of the past guides, you should already know why, or if you've played Prot Warrior, Reprisal is absolutely fantastic all around. I had it on my legs. That's where I made it on my legs in 9.0. That's where I'm keeping it. I really don't care. And then I made Unity on my belt at 262 with both of them being haste first main stats. What Covenant should you be playing with Protection Warrior? Well, you have three options. You can play Kyrian, you can play Night Fae, and you can play Necrolord. All three of them are very strong with the adding of that double legendary. With Kyrian here, you do gain a big offensive buff with the critical strike damage being increased by 25% and your Spirit Bastion lasting an extra 4 seconds longer. So you can use it as an extra kiting tool, or you can use it just to deal more damage. Now, you might say, hey, the critical strike is going up by 25%, doesn't that gain parry? No, because it's critical strike damage, not critical strike chance. And it's your critical strike chance that increases your parry, not the critical strike damage. So this is purely an offensive buff, aside from if you plan to kite, but it is very, very strong. And if you're looking for Kyrian, you're going to want to be with Mechanicos. Mechanicos is absolutely strong all around. Just stick with it. This is what your tree would look like now. I used to run with Condensed Animasphere, but now with the buffs to Ignore Pain, Brutal Vitality is actually very, very strong. I can't say very strong, but it is eking out on Condensed Animasphere if you're using it properly, especially once you get your tier piece, which I unfortunately have not had any tier piece, so I can't comment on that. But I've heard it's very, very good, and I will talk about what the 4-piece is a little bit later, and how that can kind of change things around for you. For Necrolord, you're going to want to go with Plague Deviser Merilith. What I'll do is I'll just post a picture on that. If you're rating, and a Bonesmith Heimer for Mythic Plus, those are the two that you're going to want to go with. That's kind of just what's strong. And then for Night Fae, I think it's just Naya all around, man. Nia? Huh? Yeah, Nia is just kind of the all-around strong option for you there. Although, if you just want to have fun and blast some DPS, Karain with the critical strike is actually can be a lot of fun. Especially if you're looking at Snap Threat or anything like that. Crane could be fun, but Naya is your better, well-balanced tree all around, and that's kind of what I'd be going with there. Your mainstays for Endurance Conduits are always going to be Stalwart Guardian, which reduces the cooldown of Shield Wall, and then Unnerving Focus. Last Stand increases your Rage generation by 60%. This gives you an actual good, legit reason to press Last Stand, because that Rage generation is nothing to scoff at. So that's 60% at 252. And then your mainstay for your Finesse Conduit is going to be Rallying Cry, which increases the duration and health granted by Rallying Cry by an X amount. Now here it says 36%, but it does not equate to that. It's 36% of the 20, so it actually ends up going up to 28% here and 14% long total. So it is an absolute mainstay for your Finesse Conduits. If you have to put another... and you want to put another Finesse Conduit, Shockwave isn't bad if you use it a lot in Mythic Plus. Aside from that, Safeguard, very, very strong option there. And then your third best would be Brutal Vitality or Condensed Animasphere. Those would be the two that I'd pick. If you don't use Ignore Pain a lot, I'd probably just stick with Condensed Animasphere, but you should be using Ignore Pain a lot more since the recent buffs, so Brutal Vitality should eke out there. Now for talents. Let's talk talents here. Devastator is pretty much always going to be on. You're never going to swap away from Devastator. Just keep with it on. It's literally the best talent you got. Double Time, with the way that it works with Reprisal, I love all of my utilizing all of these these charges to gain shield block. And it is basically always on cooldown, and I charge weave with Bounding Stride a lot. Best Serve Cold is your Mythic Plus option. Booming Voice is going to be your raiding option. It is a much stronger ability. Demo Shout generates 40 rage and increases the damage you deal to effective targets by 20%. You're not using as many revenges in raiding as you are in Mythic Plus, so Booming Voice will absolutely eke along and give you that extra rage that you might need for pretty much anything else. Bounding Stride is the go-to for raiding. It's still the one that I prefer in Mythic Plus right now, unless I'm running higher keys, and then I'll go Crackling Thunder. But this also depends on what you really need out of your Thunderclap. You can swap to this right now and you'd be fine. I love to charge weave a lot, and I hate the 45-second cooldown. I'd much rather it be 30-second, but it is what it is, right? But once last year, once I got to 20 keys, I was absolutely running Crackling Thunder over Bounding Stride. You can start seeing the difference here, but if you're just running 15s, run whichever one you want here. Indomitable is going to be your mainstay right here, no matter in which content. Just set it and forget it. The actual healing that you do get from that is pretty incredible. It's, if you look here, in the Theater of Pain that I just ran, it was a quick key. I think it was only an 11. It still did almost 750,000 of my healing at the top. Very, very strong all around. And then, of course, if you are raiding, you're going to go with Into the Fray. Mythic Plus with Ravager. Very strong. Now, if you don't have your 2 and your 4 piece and you're trying to progress keys, Heavy Repercussions ekes out. But Anger Management, once you get your 4 piece, very, very, very strong. Unfortunately, with the way that the 2-tier piece and the double Legos are going, Bolster is just no longer as effective as a raid tool as it was. You're just going to want to keep with Anger Management all around. So that is for talents there. Now let's talk about the tier pieces, the tier sets a little bit, because they are fairly interesting for Prot Warrior, but they're mostly what would you call an offensive push. You don't get as many things for defensive. So armaments of the Infinite Infantry, your 2-set outburst. Consuming 30 rage grants you a stack of Seeing Red, which transforms at 8 stacks into Outburst, causing your next Shield Slam or Thunderclap to be 200% more effective and automatically grant you an Ignore Pain. The 4-set Avatar increases your damage dealt by an additional 10% and decreases the damage taken by 10%. And Avatar instantly grants you Outburst, which is why you're going to be running Anger Management once you get your 4-piece in both Rating and Mythic Plus settings. So if we read the 2-piece for what this does specifically is Shield Slam and Thunderclap are 200% more effective. That's damage, but that's also the chance to reset the cooldown of Shield Slam. So basically, if you're using your Shield Slam with your Outburst, you're basically almost guaranteed at 200% to proc another Shield Slam right after. Very, very nice. And then with Thunderclap. Now here I have the Crackling Thunder on. So what happens is their movement speed being reduced by 30% would be reduced by like almost 90% on that one specific Thunderclap. So this is where it can be very, very strong. The Ignore Pain's nice, blah, 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 blah. But the additive of the 10% increased damage from Avatar, wonderful, and the 10% decrease. So basically you can pop Avatar, pop Demo Shout, you have a 35% DR going on for a little while. Very, very nice, very strong, but mostly offensive-minded. The same as kind of what they've been trying to do with Prot Warrior, but if you're looking for why I think Prot Warrior is still lacking a little bit compared to other tanks, I have a video that I will link down below that you can check that out for yourself. But yeah, if you're looking for good trinks and you are running Sanctum of Domination, the Shard of Hilda's Aegis is still very, very strong all around. Blood Spattered Scale, Solia's Secret Technique is good if you're trying to bolster your main stat as well. File of Putrefaction is a very good one as well for your DPS. Unfortunately, right now there's not a lot of good raid trinkets that are very strong for tanks. So this is kind of what we're left with across the board. If you're looking for a defensive matrix, the cheat death trinkets from Fate Scribe and Sun King are also very, very good if you want to run those. And with Prot Warrior, you just might need to. But I think the buffs to Spell Reflect are very strong and going in the right direction to where they should see. Prot Warrior, just what was going on with BFA and Prot Warrior and how strong that was. They were afraid of that happening again with the versatility stacking and like the crazy amount of spell reflects and things like that, where they kind of reined it in just a little bit too hard, but that kind of just is what it is. Prot Warrior is a lot of fun to play. My preferred Covenant is Kyrian, although Night Fae and Necrolord are definitely going to see some action with me as well. It's just a really fun class spec to play. I can never really stay away from it. Anybody that knows this channel knows this well enough that it's just a lot of fun zooming around, and it's got 2 very good DPS off specs right now. So if you're having trouble finding raid as a Prot Warrior, you can always go as Fury or Arms and you should be fine. But that is the basics for the Protection Warrior. That's kind of the nitty gritty of it. That's what you need to know for 9.2. Really, honestly, if you have any other questions, shoot me comment down below. I'd love to hear from you guys. The burst potential of Prot Warrior and Mythic Plus is a very, very strong and is very good at Snap Threat. I've never had an issue with Prot Warrior with Snap Threat going into a Mythic Plus pull. Unfortunately, I'm not seeing anything to kill right now, but this year works. So you charge in. I like to Blood Spatter, Scale, and immediately hit Avatar on the way. You hit Ravager, use Spear of Bastion, and boom. You're immediately dealing damage, a lot of it, and it just works really, really well for Snap Threat. The only thing is, if your pack is kind of off in the distance, you're going to want to utilize your Charge and Heroic Leap to try and kind of bounce from one end to the other to kind of bring them all in the middle. But every tank has their challenge, and that's kind of starting the pull is one there. But with Reprisal, you immediately start off with Shield Block. You're going to want to use Intervene as much as possible. Do not forget to use Intervene. There are macros that you can literally just quite hover over a target and intervene them right away. Target over the party frame if you need to. It will give you a Revenge proc and immediately your little bit of shield block, which is your main form of defensive for how Prot Warrior works. Your other defenses are Rallying Cry, Last Stand, Demo Shout, Shield Wall, which is a big 50% DR, and yeah, and then you have Challenging Shout for when you screw up those big pulls. You can just Challenging Shout and everyone's back onto you. It's so much fun. Don't forget to be using Ignore Pain along with Shield Block. Warrior is all about the management of shield block and ignore pain together, as well as combining that with spell reflect as active mitigation, using demo shout for when you kind of screw that up, and shield wall when you really need something to stop a heavy hit. But I think Prot War is going to be a little bit of a sleeper nowadays. Now I've run some 14s, I ran some 14s, some 13s last week. Just coming in, I was only item level like 250. I'm only 253 now, and I was pulling 8.8, 9k going into a mist and things like that. So it is very, very strong still. And I think once we get all of everything combined, I think Prot Warrior is going to be one of the higher damaging tank specs. The only thing is they lack a little bit defensively. They don't have immunities or things like that. But yeah, like, comment, subscribe. If you have any questions, community Discord down below. I'd love to hear from you guys. I hope you guys are enjoying Shadowlands as much as I am. Does your warrior have tier? How does it feel for you? I've just been unlucky, but I haven't been playing it as much as, say, my Paladin or my DK. But I am planning on playing it a lot more. Hope you guys enjoy yourselves. Thank you very much for listening. Have yourselves a good day.